Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. Today we're talking about Azeez Ojulari and a little bit of Kayvon Thibodeaux. Really fun, dynamic, young duo the Giants are curating on this defensive front. Really excited to see how these two guys can make an impact moving forward. Of course, the cost control aspect is something we want to discuss. Azeez Ojulari is being named a potential breakout candidate for the 2022 season. Kind of give you some insight into that, some numbers and what he's done this offseason to improve his game and put himself in a position where he can succeed at an even greater level. Before we dive into these two guys, my friend, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, and as you remember, I was a huge fan of Azeez Ojulari leading up to the draft last year. During that pre-draft process, I was taking a look at him, did a film breakdown on him on this channel way before the Giants even drafted him, and I said if they took him with the 11th overall pick, I'd be happy. And if they traded down to number 20 or somewhere in that range and they drafted him, I'd be even happier. And then they ended up trading down all the way to 50 and drafting him at that position. So I was thrilled. I was ecstatic. A lot of people were in our live stream that we were in last year when the Giants drafted Azeez Ojulari. You guys remember how great of a reaction I had because I loved Azeez Ojulari in the pre-draft process. And I'm so excited that he is a New York Giant. And instantly, year one, he made an impact. 8 sacks. He looked great as a rookie. Was there room for improvement? Did he disappear in some games? Yeah, absolutely. But he was a rookie edge rusher who came in a little bit undersized. He played very well considering all of those factors. And I think that he really is in line for a potential breakout season, especially when you consider the fact that he's not the Giants' best pass rusher anymore. He's not the only good pass rusher off of the edge for the New York Giants anymore. You know, you got Kayvon Thibodeaux on the other side of the defensive line. So that kind of 1-2 punch, that tandem right there could be pretty dangerous, could be special, and it could lead to that breakout season for Azeez Ojulari.
It definitely could. You know, they have some good, decent backup guys too. Quincy Roche, stolen from the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. They didn't protect him, and Giants scooped him up, had a couple of good moments, specifically against the Carolina Panthers and the Raiders. So, you know, when you're looking at this Giants defense, there's a lot of really, really exciting young talent that we can get really excited about in general because, you know, Xavier McKinney, you know, Kayvon Thibodeaux, Azeez Ojulari, Dane Belton, guy who's a lot of people are extremely high on at safety. I'm really excited to see Aaron Robinson in this new role, you know, kind of moving to the outside and competing at CB2. A lot of young players here. And I mentioned before the word cost control. That's something that Joe Shane has brought up many times. Positional players that are at more expensive positions that, you know, you have to allocate resources in free agency, like cornerbacks are extremely expensive. You know, edge rushers, extremely expensive. Even safeties are getting expensive these days. You want to be able to draft these guys and build them up. So I'm excited to see how they continue to develop. But there's reason to believe that Kayvon Thibodeaux could end up becoming a breakout candidate. Now, PFF thinks that he could have a huge campaign. I'll give you what they said about him. You can kind of make the judgment on your own. But I tend to agree with him on this specific thing. Ojulari, he put on 10 pounds of muscle mass this past offseason. And not just like that, he is ripped. The dude has broad shoulders. He is absolutely muscle packed. And what is that going to help him do? Well, his speed to power combo is going to be a lot better. And his ability to seal the edge as a run defender is going to be a lot better. In run defense, he really struggled at some points last year. He was pretty inconsistent, had a couple of decent games. But altogether, you know, he wasn't the best run defender. It was probably a little bit better of a pass rusher to start his career. But adding 10 pounds of muscle mass, Anthony, how important is that? For him taking that next step forward as a run defender and really helping seal that edge. We know Kayvon Thibodeaux is already a above average guy in that category, but now having those two guys that can seal the edge, Blake Martinez behind him to clean up those ball carriers, you know, how important is that to this defense?
I mean, that 10 pounds of muscle is huge. As I mentioned in the pre-draft process, I loved Azeez Ojulari. He came in and made an impact as a rookie. And when I discussed him earlier, I said, and he did all of this coming into the league undersized. And that did lead to him kind of disappearing in some games, kind of struggling as a run defender, couldn't really set the edge, and kind of got bullied by a couple of bigger offensive tackles, right? So we knew going into his rookie season that his size would be a bit of a problem at the next level. He got away with it at college. He has a lot of speed, and the speed definitely showed up in the NFL, the bend around the edge. And he did have 1 or 2 pass rushing moves that really, you know, helped him get those sacks and those pressures, but he needed more. He needed more size, he needed more pass rushing moves, and he needed 1 year of experience underneath his belt before he could really develop into a solid player for the Giants. And now with that year of experience and an impressive year of experience at that, you know, you're looking looking at this guy as a Georgia product. We've seen this before, right? With the New York Giants, kind of a hyped up prospect that they draft out of Georgia, has some really good games as a rookie, disappears for the rest of them. Year 2 breakout. Who does that sound like? It sounds like Andrew Thomas. And Andrew Thomas had a phenomenal sophomore season. That was a real breakout. And Azeez Ojulari, again, could be in line for a significant jump this season, sophomore year. Georgia product, had some flashes as a rookie. Now he just needs a better coaching staff, which is also something that Andrew Thomas benefited from. His rookie season, they had 2 offensive line coaches, as we discussed in yesterday's episode. They had Dave DeGuglielmo and they had Mark Colombo. Then in year 2, he had one constant offensive lineman in Rob Sale, and that helped him a lot. Now we think he's got an even better upgrade with Bobby Johnson, but when you take a look at the defensive side of the ball, we think there's been significant improvements there as well, and we think that that could also lead to an Azeez Ojulari breakout with a better coaching staff and kind of just a whole year of experience underneath his belt. Plus, as you mentioned, Alex, that 10 pounds is huge. He had a couple moments last year where he got bullied. There were really big offensive linemen that kind of threw him around. He was undersized. Now kind of getting up to that NFL size, that NFL playing weight, it's going to be a lot better for Azeez Ojulari. He should be able to hold his own much better in run defense.
Absolutely. Now you factor in the coaching change on the defensive line, guys. Andre Patterson, I've said this many times. He's the one responsible for developing Daniel Hunter and Everson Griffin into the monster pass rushers they have been, and currently are. So I will say, like, he has the best coach, one of the best, if not the best by many accounts, on the defensive line to help him get to that next level. And as we know, coaching is everything. The fact that Andrew Thomas managed to get this good with Mark Colombo and just a myriad of different offensive line coaches is mesmerizing. It is incredible. I don't know how he did it. A lot of off the field work with his private trainers, I imagine. But I will say, having Andre Patterson, Wink Martindale, aggressive, blitz heavy coaches that really focus on just dominant levels of play, you're looking at Azeez Ojulari in the best possible spot ever. He had a great rookie season by most accounts. He set the rookie franchise record for I guess like unofficial, or I guess the official record for sacks with 8 sacks. Unofficially, Lawrence Taylor had 9.5, but in the era where we were tracking them, Azeez Ojulari now owns that record. So it's pretty exciting to see him taking that step forward. Now, this is what PFF had to say about him essentially. And it sounds pretty good with the way that they put it, right? So he says last season, the New York Giants drafted Ojulari in the second round. He didn't disappoint. He put up a 17.8% pass rush win percentage and 28 total pressures on true pass sets. While his overall grade underwhelmed, 58.3, he had 3 80-plus game grades in 2021, now accompanied by Thibodeau on the opposite side. Ojulari can use his athleticism and bend on second-tier linemen, opening the door for a breakout year 2. So, Anthony, here's my question for you. You're looking at Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau. How does having a dominant pass rusher on the other side of the line of scrimmage, or rather not the other side of the line of scrimmage, the other side of the line, how does that help Ojulari in 1v1 battles? Does that open up more 1v1 situations for him? Does that, allocate? Maybe they have to say, you know what, we can't put a tight end there anymore. We have to put it on Thibodeau's side because he's the bigger threat. We're trying to trip Thibodeau. How can Ojulari kind of take advantage now, having a high-end guy who's probably already coming out day one with bigger expectations for 2022? How does that help him succeed?
Yeah, I mean, you really kind of broke it down there, but also what PFF said, now he's facing second-tier offensive linemen. And it's kind of different because in his rookie season, we talked about this undersized rookie second-round pick edge rusher was the Giants' primary pass rusher. He was their number one edge guy. So who's getting the double teams on the edge? It was this rookie who's never played in the NFL before, Azeez Ojulari. Now it's going to be another rookie in Kayvon Thibodeau, but Kayvon Thibodeau is a whole different animal. This guy is a beast. He is a little bit raw as a prospect. He's going to need some development, but I mean, day one, we all expect Kayvon Thibodeau to make an instant impact as a pass rusher. So all of the teams, the offensive lines are going to be focused on Kayvon Thibodeau. Don't let this rookie embarrass you. Don't let this rookie be the game changer that blows you out, right? So there's always going to be a tight end chipping on Kayvon Thibodeau pretty much, or a running back, whatever. There's going to be an extra blocker focusing on Kayvon Thibodeau. no longer focusing on Azeez Ojulari. This leads to many more one-on-one pass rushing opportunities, which of course will lead to more pass rushing wins and a much better season for Azeez Ojulari. The Giants have really built a nice 1-2 punch here with two young edge rushers. They got Kayvon Thibodeaux this year. They got Azeez Ojulari last year. As you mentioned at the beginning of this video, that's a very expensive position. If you want to go get an instant impact edge rusher in free agency, I mean, you could be spending upwards of $20 million per year on your salary cap just to get a good edge rusher. The Giants now have these two young edge rushers on rookie contracts, each for under $8 million per season, and they're both impact players. It's a great bargain. The contracts are phenomenal. And if these two are able to develop into some really good pass rushers, I mean, the Giants are in a perfect position financially to build this team.
Yeah, seriously, that is the main point here, right? You like building this through the big positional guys who cost a lot in free agency. Like you said, both of them combined are under $8 million. That is absurd, guys. If you didn't know who the Giants were, if you didn't know, but you knew how good these two players could be, and you were like, we have both of them for under $8 million, I'd be like, that's an absolute steal. There's teams paying 10, 15, $20 million to Christian Kirk out here. And we have two really great pass rushers who, have a ton of upside and a lot of potential. Obviously, we want to see it on the football field and not just talk about it, but, in due time that will come. Talking about the specific numbers, Azeez Ojulari is making $1.5 million next year. Absolute freaking steal of the century. And Kayvon Thibodeaux is making about $5.7 million. So, looking at next season specifically, really, really affordable. If you fast forward to 2023, which is when maybe the Giants have a little bit better chance of competing, Kayvon Thibodeaux is only making 7.1 and Azeez making 1.8. So you're still under 10 million in general. So, all that money next year, 80 million, $75 million, whatever we have, boost up the secondary. Maybe you retain Daniel Jones. We'll see how that unfolds. We'll have a ton of money to throw around. We already have our pass rusher set. We have our tackle set. This is how a rebuild is done, right? We just filled our two most glaring weaknesses, right tackle and that other pass rush spot. We just fill those with high potential guys, and that's all that you can ask for. Really curious to hear your thoughts about Azeez Ojulari in the comment section below on YouTube. Make sure to drop a comment about his season. How many sacks do you think he's going to have? I'm going to go with he's going to have 10 sacks. He's going to get to double digits this year. I'm going to go 10 sacks. Him and Kayvon Thibodeaux have a couple opportunities where they get some, halvesies. So I'm excited to see those guys meet in the middle and just crush Dak Prescott a couple times. You always love to see that. But Anthony, what's your last prediction? What do you think? How many sacks is Azeez going to get?
Ooh, that's tough. I think, whoever is going to get the more sacks, I mean, you could say Kayvon Thibodeaux just got more talent, but of course he's going to have more attention. It's his rookie season, but I think Thibodeaux cracks 10. I think you end up with Leonard Williams getting somewhere around 7, and I think Azeez Ojulari is going to repeat and get another 8 sacks this upcoming season.
Yeah, well, we can all hope that's the case. Hopefully those guys combine for 15, 16 sacks, whatever it might be, maybe even more. But leave your comment below. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, my friends. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.
TVSO.